I literally have been dreading making this video since the Los Angeles Chargers fired their coach, Brandon Staley. But that thing that none of us wanted to happen, Broncos country, it looks like it's about to go down. I've got all of the news. We're breaking it down right now. If you're new to this channel, my name is Ben. I break down all things Denver sports, and it looks like the Denver Broncos are going to have a new public enemy number one, and that is going to be none other than who's got it better than us, Jim Harbaugh. Let's take a look at it. So 2 weeks ago, after the Chargers had parted ways with Brandon Staley, I asked all y'all in the community tab which one of these head coaches would scare you the most to go up against 2 times a year and maybe 3 when these teams make the playoffs. Which one of these head coaches are you most dreading a pairing with Justin Herbert? And unanimously, you all said it was Jim Harbaugh. None other than Khaki Pants Harbaugh from Michigan, the much maligned coach of the Michigan Wolverines, the national champion Wolverines. And it looks like that is about to go down. As we speak, Harbaugh and his wife have been flown out to California for a second interview. And just from my experience with my dad being flown, my dad's a pastor, and anytime like he would have a new interview and they'd be like, all right, bring your family along. At that point, it truly was like, hey, we want to show you where you're going to live and hype you up about this job. It is essentially a formality, and you see a ton of media outlets already reporting that this is serious. We see friend of the channel, Aaron Wilson. Remember, he was on a couple episodes back. I'll drop that in the show notes here. He is the beat reporter who I think, other than like Schefter and Rappaport, is like one of the most plugged in guys, and he talked about not only is this a done deal, but he's bringing his luggage, just like Deion Sanders said, right? He's bringing his luggage, and unfortunately, just like Deion, I think his luggage is kind of Louis Vuitton luggage. So looking at this and who he'd bring with him to pair with already like a loaded squad, I think that Keenan Allen is a stud. I think to have Joey Bosa and Mack and Derwin James, like that's a loaded roster that drastically underperformed, which is why that Staley was fired. But this is a really, really good roster. And the fact is, like twice a year now, the Denver Broncos are going to have to play Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and now Jim Harbaugh and Herbert. Like that's unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. But let's take a look at who his coaching staff would be with him, how we think that might pair with Justin Herbert. So the people he'd bring with him are both dudes who are on staff at Michigan. The crazy part about the Michigan coaching staff was they ran like a pro-style offense and defense, which is why, as we break down the mock draft, J.J. McCarthy might be worth a look because he really was playing in a pro-style offense, and while his stats weren't always there, Michigan had no hard games until that Ohio State game, and McCarthy didn't even play in the fourth quarter of most games. And so I think he might be worth a look. But the first one is Greg Roman, and notably, Greg Roman has had several stints in the NFL, and he seems to follow around the Harbaugh boys, whether it is Jim or John with the Ravens. They're very loyal. Love that. The Harbaugh brothers, as much as we are now going to hate playing him, everyone just says great things about him, unless you're an Ohio State fan. But the most notable thing for Greg Roman is the fact that he was the offensive coordinator with the San Francisco 49ers when they made it to the Super Bowl against John Harbaugh and the Baltimore Ravens. And remember, they were famously up in that Super Bowl, and then the power went out, and everyone thinks it maybe was a rigged conspiracy. I don't think I could watch the NFL if I thought it was rigged. That's why I don't watch wrestling. But the fact of the matter is, who was the quarterback that he got so much out of, who now wasn't even in the NFL, and that is Colin Kaepernick. And you just saw him with the read option, and you saw that a ton this year in Michigan with J.J. McCarthy. And I think, man, if Herbert could stay healthy, Herbert with a read option, especially if they find a way to hang on to Eckler, that could be a very, very dangerous system, a very difficult thing to plan for. If he brings that read option system, you got Herbert that, he's just a big, big dude. And so that's scary. Now, the defensive coordinator, according to Aaron Wilson, that he would also bring with him from Michigan is going to be Jesse Minter. And same thing, if you look at Jesse Minter, he's been the defensive coordinator for a couple smaller colleges, notably Georgia State for a couple of years. Then he was a defensive assistant in Baltimore during a playoff run there. Then he coached defensive backs and did that, and then was defensive coordinator for Vanderbilt and then for the University of Michigan, obviously the national champion University of Michigan team. That truly, like, you know, going into that national championship game, I think everyone and their mom was like, hey, is Michael Penix the overall #1 draft pick over Caleb Williams because of how good he looked at Texas? And you saw Jesse Minter have a couple of weeks to be able to scheme against him. And, you know, you see Penix's stock drop immediately because of how much he seemed to shut him down. So love to hear all your thoughts on this. Does Harbaugh being with the Los Angeles Chargers scare you? The great thing about this is still that the Chargers do not have a fan base because of how they left San Diego. And so I think for the foreseeable future, until they may be able to compete with Los Angeles now that Harbaugh is there, may be able to compete with the Los Angeles Rams and win that city back and own it. But for now, I feel like the Denver Broncos will have 2 home games a year. One of the most impressive things was seeing all of the orange and blue in that stadium. I know some of the watchers on this channel, my man Jeff was there. A lot of you were there. My question will be, does Harbaugh going to the Chargers reinvigorate a fan base? And that's a really, really well-known name other than Belichick. That maybe was the biggest name out there. And now he's there. So I guess the good news is that he didn't go to the Las Vegas Raiders, and that was the other really, really big rumor. The real big question I have is, like, we know that the Denver Broncos interviewed him last year, and the question became, who said no to who? Did Harbaugh say no to us, or did the Walton Penner Group, our owners, the Walmart money, did they say no to him because they actually wanted Sean Payton? If Harbaugh said no to us because he didn't think it was that great of a job, and now he said yes to the Chargers, I think that shows that he feels there's more of a chance of winning quickly there. But I do really think that is the #1 favorite now for a team that could go from missing the playoffs to being a playoff contender next year. Like, obviously, I hope that's us. I still think that can be us. We got a lot to work out this year and this offseason with quarterback and the NFL draft and all that. But, man, that, you know, when you just boot up Madden and look at the players on that team, what they need is a culture to tie that whole thing together. And for as corny and cheesy as Harbaugh is, with all the family I have in Michigan, you just see what he has done and how that team, the love that team has for each other, all fostered by Harbaugh. Now, my big hope in all of this is that you hear a lot of the naysayers say that Harbaugh's like corniness works for 16, 17-year-old recruits, and then 17, 18, 19-year-old college players. Like, you can do funny chants like, who's got it better than us? Nobody. And, you know, you can give them stickers when they make great hits and do all that rah-rah stuff. And you just hear that the culture in the NFL is a lot more pack your lunch. This is my job. This isn't something you need to rah-rah me up for. And that might be Harbaugh's secret sauce, is that, you know, that the rah-rah stuff that a coach of juveniles can get away with, but a coach of men doesn't. He certainly isn't Dan Campbell in that he can make you run through a brick wall like he's Jocko or something like that. So a lot to be seen with that. I really want to hear, does this make you, you know, we beat the Chargers twice this year. It felt amazing. What are your thoughts on, what are your predictions on what will the Denver Broncos record be against the Jim Harbaugh-led Los Angeles Chargers next year? All the breaking news here. Thank you so much. Oh, last thing I wanted to say, I'm brand new to YouTube, learning all this stuff. Just saw that I have in my channel, I have the ability for y'all to become like super fans and members. And I had my first member who became a Bronco believer. So huge shout out. That really helps me out. So thank you, Mark W. Don't know who you are, man, but I'm super happy that you hopped on and you like this content. And I hope I don't let any of you down. I keep bringing the best Broncos news to y'all. So till next time, y'all stay buckled up.